Jesus never used toilet paper in his life because toilet paper wasn't invented until 1857. So what did he actually use in the bathroom? The answer will shock you and maybe make you grateful you're alive in 2026. Everything here is based on real archaeological evidence. Let's get straight to it. First, you need to understand private bathrooms, extreme luxury. Most people did their business in ceramic pots. Then they emptied them in the streets. Yes, in the streets. Jerusalem smelled. Oh, terrible. The rich had private latrines, basically a hole in the ground with a stone seat, and there were public bathrooms. But forget privacy. Multiple stone seats side by side, no partitions. You did your business next to strangers. That was the standard. But now comes what you've been waiting for. But how did they clean themselves? No toilet paper, no wet wipes, nothing we use today. And what they used is worse than you imagine. Are you ready? The most common answer? Stones. Yes, smooth stones. Archaeological discoveries in ancient latrines revealed piles of small, flat stones. Some were smooth from repeated use. People would grab a stone, use it to clean themselves, and then throw it in a hole or discard it. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't hygienic, but it was what they had. And there's more. Broken pottery shards were also common. Archaeologists found fragments of broken pots with, well, evidence of use, near ancient latrines. Think about it. Rough ceramic. No softness, no comfort. Injuries were common, infections even more common. But wait, it gets worse. But there was a better alternative: water. In Middle Eastern cultures, including Jewish culture, there was a practice that persists in some regions today: cleaning with water using the left hand. Here's how it worked. You'd take water from a jug with your right hand, pour it on your left hand, and use your left hand to clean yourself. Then you'd wash your hands thoroughly. That's why eating with your left hand was considered extremely rude and impure in these cultures. The left hand was reserved for, you get it. This practice was considered more hygienic than using stones, and in a way it was. But there was a problem. Not everyone had easy access to water. Jerusalem suffered from scarcity. Water was precious, so for many, stones remained the only option. And there was another option: cloth. Wealthier people could use pieces of reusable cloth. Yes, reusable. They'd use it, wash it, and use it. Again, think cloth diapers, but for another function. In Roman public bathrooms, there was something even more interesting: the tersorium, a sea sponge attached to the end of a stick. It sat in a bucket of salt water or vinegar. You'd use it, rinse it in the bucket, and leave it there for the next person. That's right, shared. Archaeologists found evidence of these sponges in Roman latrines throughout the empire, including in Judea. Imagine the amount of diseases transmitted by this method. Cholera, dysentery, intestinal parasites. It was a walking epidemic. And here's the thing that nobody talks about. Your bathroom experience depended entirely on how much money you had. The poor, chamber pots emptied in the streets, rough stones, not enough water. The middle class, access to communal latrines, water when available, still quite primitive. The rich, private latrines at home, slaves who cleaned everything, abundant water from private cisterns, clean cloths, and the very rich. Some even had rudimentary plumbing systems, running water that carried waste to septic tanks. But even for the rich, there was no concept of hygiene like we have today. Bacteria, they didn't know they existed. Proper hand washing, only as religious ritual, not from knowledge of germs. Urinary tract infections were common in all classes. Hemorrhoids too. Intestinal parasites. Practically everyone had them. It was a brutal reality, regardless of how much money you had. But there was one thing that helped: Jewish purity laws. The Torah had strict rules about cleanliness after using the bathroom. Mandatory hand washing, ritual baths after certain types of impurity, quarantine for diseases. These rules, although based on religious concepts and not scientific ones, ended up having a real protective effect. Jewish communities that rigorously followed these laws had slightly lower rates of diseases transmitted by lack of hygiene. Jesus, being Jewish, certainly followed these rituals. Hand washing before eating, purification baths, personal cleanliness care. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than nothing. And what were the consequences of all this lack of proper hygiene? Urinary tract infections were extremely common. Without antibiotics, many became fatal. Hemorrhoids affected most people. Without modern treatment, it was a chronic and painful condition. Intestinal parasites, practically universal. Tapeworms, roundworms, hookworms. Dysentery killed thousands annually, especially children. And skin problems, rashes, bacterial infections, fungi, all of this worsened by the impossibility of maintaining adequate hygiene after using the bathroom. Think about it. Jesus probably had intestinal parasites at some point in his life, just like everyone around him. This doesn't diminish his divinity, it just reinforces his complete humanity. He lived all the difficulties, all the discomforts, all the unpleasant realities of being human at that time. Let's put this in perspective. Jesus' time, rough stones, scarce water, shared sponges, constant infections. Today, soft toilet paper, unlimited running water, antibacterial soap, total privacy. The difference is astronomical. We complain if toilet paper doesn't have 3 layers. They were content to have a stone that wasn't too sharp. We worry about soap brands. They worried about not dying from dysentery. It's a powerful reminder of how much our lives have changed and how much Jesus sacrificed by living fully as a human at that time. So yes, Jesus never used toilet paper. He used the same primitive methods as everyone around him. Stones, water when available, ritual hand washing. He experienced the same discomfort, the same infections, the same difficulties. There was no glamour, no comfort, just the raw and difficult reality of first-century human life. And that makes his message even more powerful. He chose to live as we live, to suffer as we suffer, even in the most basic and uncomfortable details of human existence. Next time you use a modern bathroom, maybe think about this and maybe feel a little more grateful for the life we have today. If this video changed how you see biblical history, hit that subscribe button. We're reconstructing the real life of Jesus, the details nobody talks about. Next video, something even more shocking about Jesus' daily life that will blow your mind. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.